So with our options set and our features specified on how we want everything to work, our next step is just to tell CamWorks, hey, go find everything you can find all the setups, and let's see what you come up with. And how we do that is we do that in actually in one button click, but it can be found in a couple different areas. On the standard CamWorks toolbar, it'll be over here at the left. If you're horizontal, if it's vertical, it'll end up at the top, but it's just called Extract Machinable Features. And if you hover over any of these icons, it actually tells you what the command is. You can also turn it on to show names. For my use every day, I keep the icons as small as possible so I can focus on what's on the screen in front of me. But you have the ability to find it on the CamWorks toolbar. You can also go to the CamWorks Workflow toolbar, which has it here. This one actually sort of gives you the ability, just like walking from top down, you have the ability in the CamWorks Workflow to start at the left, work your way to the right. Or if your toolbar was vertical, you have the ability to work top down just like you do right here. The last place, obviously, is if you go to the CamWorks pull-down menu, it'll be right here at the top, Extract Machinable Features. Now, when you select that, what it'll do is it'll take into account all the information that you've put in over here in the Feature Manager. It'll take into account all the information that you just put in the options, and then it will go ahead and try to find every feature, look at the part, do the milling setup, try to put different setups if the part needs to be rotated, and then work within the bounding box of everything that's been set. So if you go ahead and set up everything correctly up front, you'll automatically have the ability to have a really good chance to have your part 80 to 95% done, depending upon how your technology database is set up. So we're going to go ahead and just click Extract Machinable Features, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my CamWorks toolbar, and then I'm just going to click the button. And as I click the button, you'll see a CamWorks message window pop up, and it's going to go ahead and show what it's trying to find here. And at the end, you'll see a list pop up on the left. Now, this all depends on how fast your computer is, how much RAM you have, as well as how complex the part is. If you have a really complex mold, it may take a little bit longer than if you just have a square block with some holes in it. So we'll go ahead and wait here for a little bit for it to find everything, and then we'll look at what happens here at the end. With feature recognition finished, you'll notice over here on the left in the CW tab, we actually now have a bunch of setups created. And in those setups, you'll notice that CamWorks has went and found slots, holes, there's bosses, there's irregular shapes, there's perimeters. All of that information was automatically captured just by doing feature recognition on the part. And you'll notice that they're already grouped by mill part setups. And if you hover over them, you'll see which direction the arrow is running, and it's already based off of the stock diameter or the stock size that we already created. If I go to this setup here and click on it, that's the back face where it's doing machining. If I scroll down here, we have one for the bottom, we have one for the top, and that pretty much concludes machining all sides of the part. So what's cool about this is now we can focus on each individual setup and we can make any adjustments accordingly. The other thing that you'll notice is we have a perimeter created on the outside. If you wanted these in a different order to be machined in a different spot, all you have to do is just click and drag them, and then it'll change the order of how the part is going to be machined. So this is really cool from the standpoint of you have the ability, before any toolpaths are generated, before anything's are changed, you can change all of this information in one shot. You'll also notice that they're pink, so in a little bit here when we add a tool to them, the ones that can be machined automatically will automatically turn black to let you know that, hey, this one already has a tool associated with it, or we need to adjust this one because it doesn't have a tool associated at that point. So we're going to go ahead and take this to the next step, and we're going to tell CamWorks, hey, you already found all these features, now let's go ahead and apply tools to them, and then we can work on creating toolpaths. So the next step is to create an operation plan. And there's a couple different ways, just like you would be used to by now with CamWorks. You can select them from the actual toolbars, the CamWorks toolbar or the Workflow toolbar. And you'll notice that in the Workflow toolbar, it just sort of continues to move left to right. There's the Generate Operation Plan here, and then from the pull-down menu, there's also an option here next in line. So we're going to hit Generate Operation Plan, and it's going to go ahead and try to align tools that meet all of those features it found. And you'll notice when it's done, it takes you to the operation tree. This is where all the tools get applied to everything. If we go back to the feature tree, you'll notice that some of the stuff like the multi-stepped holes, the countersinking, some of the irregular slots, they don't have tools assigned to them, and it could be for a very large amount of reasons. It could be just simple that it doesn't make sense to machine that feature that it found on this side all the way through. So we may need to add a different strategy just to machine that. And we can do that. It's really easy to do that, and we'll talk about that in the next lessons. But for now, we're just going to focus on the ones that were automatically assigned tools. Those are the ones that are very straightforward to machine. So if we go back to the operation tree, you'll see here we have center drills picked, we have drills picked. Down here there's a contour mill with a size associated with it, and we have the ability now on any of these to make changes, how the lead in, lead out is going to work, how the machining is going to work. We also have the ability to sort any of this information. We'll talk about that in more of the advanced steps. But to get to being able to actually generate a toolpath so you guys can see what the toolpaths look like in this lesson, we're going to go ahead and go down to Generate Toolpath. Now on the CamWorks workflow, it's this button here that has a little squiggly line, looks like a pen, which is actually an end mill. And then over here on the actual CamWorks toolbar, it's the third button over. From the pull-down menu, it's right here, called Generate Toolpath, and we're going to go ahead and hit Generate Toolpath, and you'll notice that all of them turn from pink to black. And what that does is that lets us know that now there is a toolpath assigned with that tool. So from here, I have the ability, I can zoom in and I can look at it. The dashed lines are the retract or the movement, and then the actual center drill is through this cycle here. You'll see where it starts overlapping the different colors. If I go to a drill, you'll notice the same thing. If it's set up for pecking, you'll see the dashed line because it's actually going to peck. If we go to a contour mill, you'll start seeing the tool paths with the lead in and lead out. From here, if all the tools were set in your technology database was the way that you wanted it, we could go ahead and just do a post process and post the G-code out to the rest of the world, and away we go. If you want to continue to make edits, like for example right now my stock is set to the middle of the part, if I wanted to move that down to say the lower left hand corner, just like everything else we do in CamWorks, you would go specifically to that feature. You can right click and say edit definition, or you can double click on it and it will bring up all your stock offsets, including indexing if you're using fixture offsets like G54. For this one, we'll just go ahead and we'll just leave it at origin. We'll go to stock vertex, and then you can just pick the radio button where you want it to go. And let's say we want to put it in that corner because that's how it's going to sit on our table. Hit OK. It's going to regenerate the toolpath now based off that 0. So now all the G-code coordinates will come off of that specific position for this setup. One of the awesome things about that is I have the ability to change the offset for each individual setup. So depending upon how I'm going to machine it or fixture it, I can customize these to be exactly what I want. So I just put the stock in the part, hit the go button, and my 0 all comes off of the standard fixture coordinate. And from there, we have our basics of creating some CamWorks features and creating some toolpaths inside of CamWorks. So what we went over today is having a part open in SolidWorks or Solid Edge, going through the basic understanding of setting up stock, selecting the machine, going through the automatic feature recognition, setting up what we wanted to find, and then generating operation plans and generating toolpaths. In our next lessons, we'll go over a little bit more where we're actually doing edits and we're doing changes and we're telling CamWorks, hey, I want to use this tool, I don't want to use that tool. I would really prefer to do a spiral lead-in versus a standard lead-in, and we'll get a little bit more in depth into this. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.